Hey everybody. So this video is a fishing trip in Alaska for salmon, and we were targeting sockeye salmon. They're starting to run up the rivers this time of year, and we were trying to go up there and catch them on the run, and we really did. We really got into some fish. I got some great video. The video that I have isn't 1/10 of the fish we caught and what we did while we were out there. We fished 3 days. I went with some family, and it was a great time. It was wonderful. No, I've never fished anything like this before. It was a once in a lifetime experience. It truly was. That being said, it was also kind of a vacation. We spent the first half of it in Denali National Park, going and looking at wildlife, seeing caribou, grizzly bears. We ended up seeing grizzly bears while we were fishing as well. Shocker. And it was just a great all-around trip. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm basically just going to show you guys clips of hooking into fish and stuff like that. I'll narrate some of it. And we went with a great guide service out there. We actually ended up flying out from Anchorage, took an 1.5-hour flight out to a remote Native American fishing village where they run a little cannery, catching a lot of these fish in the ocean or like just as they're coming into the river. And the actual fishing camp that we fished out of was a 7-mile boat ride up the river. It was a great experience, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah. So what you have here is my brother and I started by jigging for fish using a little squid-looking bait, and Jacob just hooked into a nice sockeye that he was trying to reel in here, and that's our first keeper fish of the trip. And all I'm doing here is just jigging this little squid in front of the face of basically all the sockeye. And eventually they just kind of bite it out of frustration. Yep. And because they're not really feeding when they're running upriver, so you're trying to figure out how to get them to just take anything. And I'm kind of jigging it in front of the face of that fish right now. There he goes. He was chasing it the whole time. Huh?
So the longer they sit in the river, the more they turn color. All those silver ones. They're all the right kind for now, but you want to be selective on what ones don't. Yeah, that's kind of cute. One more, boys. One more and you guys are done.
That's a pretty successful day.
We can once we get our 10, hopefully we can go catch and release a couple, and then we'll head back like an hour early because I'm going to need an hour to clean all these damn things.
Yeah, that's fine.
We got 9, I believe.
Nice. Had to catch up. You were smoking them there in the first half.
Sorry, bud. Oh, that guy choked it.
I watched him take it. He went hard for it. Committed. Oh, there he's gone.
Get off?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna have you guys hop down here. I'm gonna count real quick, just make sure we got 10.
Oh.
Not that we need one more. You wanna hand me that net, please?
Yeah.
You send that to me?
Eight, 9, 10. Sweet.
During a quick potty break, we found these bear tracks on the beach. And that was the end of our first day. We went back to camp. The fish got processed and we got down for dinner. My brother and I caught a total of 10 sockeye, as well as, a dozen or so chums. And we'll talk more about chums later, but they're another type of salmon that we weren't keeping. But good day. On day 2, I went out with my little brother and the salmon were not biting as much. We ended up fishing the whole day, and whereas on day 1, my brother and I had caught 10 sockeye in about an hour, me and my little brother fished all day, and we were only able to catch, I think, 5 or 6. And so we didn't get a lot of good video on the second day, but this is us breaking down those 5 or 6 fish. And I would actually, and I didn't get this on video either, I kind of slacked off on day 2, but I would actually grab a rod while we were processing these fish just because I was seeing some jump around, and just did a little bit of jigging right where we were processing the fish, and ended up catching or hooking into a big king salmon. And the kings this time of year up in Alaska, we can't keep. We actually can't even take them out of the water. So what we do is we just bring them close to the boat, and you kind of hold them in the water, take your photo, and then release them again. But it was just cool to kind of come out and, hey, we're processing fish, but let me go ahead and just catch one real quick. And it's a beautiful place, and this is great food. I'm really happy to have all this in the freezer now as well. And as you can see, it's very clean, very healthy salmon right here. And so even on an off day, me and my little brother were still able to catch 6 or 7 of them, which is it's one of the coolest places in the world. Like I said, they're mostly focused on running up the river this time of year. So as we learned from the guides, our first day was actually kind of an oddity to have them biting into the jigs that much. And this was more like what's usually like, where you're just kind of struggling to get them on the hook. And it's not that the fish aren't there. They're just, they're not really willing to cooperate. So this is actually really cool. There's a grizzly bear near camp who, after we had processed those fish on the boat, we had been tossing the heads and the carcasses in the water. This grizzly bear actually swam out there and went and basically got all of those carcasses. Would swim out there and kind of pick them up off the river floor and take them back to the bank and eat them. So that's really cool. Just get to see a grizzly bear. He was, probably 40, 50 yards away from us when I was recording this, and I just thought that was really, really cool. Cool bear, pretty focused on getting his fish and living his life. So. So this was our third day and last day of fishing, and what we were doing here is actually kind of neat. At least to me, it's neat. This is called flossing, and so the difference in this technique versus the jigging is basically what we have is a fly fishing rod with a little bit of weight and a hook and kind of a bead that looks similar to an egg on it. And what we're doing is we get to a bank, we get off the boat, we get on a bank, and we basically see where the fish are running, because you can see right through this water, especially with polarized glasses, and you can just see, dozens at a time of these salmon running pretty close to the bank. And so what you're basically doing is casting out just in front of them and kind of bringing that bead with the hook just right in front of their face and kind of dragging it. You're either trying to hook them right in the mouth or get them to bite onto that bead, just because it's like a free egg floating right in their face, so why not bite it? This technique takes a lot of time. Would be my thing about it. Jigging, you're kind of active the entire time. In this process, you're just hitting the same spot over and over again. You're watching fish kind of swim by you, and you're just trying to get that hook in their mouth. This is a really active way of fishing in a sense, because the fish don't want to bite any bait or anything like that. You're really only left with this option as a productive means of catching fish, and this is a very common way that people end up going after these salmon when they're running up the river. As we'll see, it didn't work out great for my brothers. They found it to be a boring method, but for me, it would actually work out pretty well. I don't know what it is about the way I was doing it that worked so well, but I'll start showing you guys that here in a minute.
Now just keep, when he gets close, you can just kind of walk back a little towards the flower. Got him. Oh.
As you can see here, though, the downside to flossing is you end up really just whipping the water for the vast majority of the time before hooking into a fish.
Got him, boy. Sweet. Not quite as big as the other two, but they taste just the same.
I'll take it. Not gonna complain.
Right?
Bigger than anything at home.
Heck yeah, right in the kisser.
After catching about three salmon or so doing it the Flossing way, we decided to take a lunch break, head up the river a little bit more. The day had cleared up. The first time we really weren't fishing in the rain, so we went up the river and we're just going to do some jigging. So what's going on here is we got to the spot where we decided to jig, and I hooked into a salmon. The salmon I hooked on to the right side of the boat. He swam around the anchor and off to the middle of the river and went downstream aggressively as fast as he could, taking tons of line with the drag all the way up, basically as far as he could go. We eventually got him to stop at about 50 yards, and as you can see here on this little jigging rod, I'm straining to bring this fish back to us. The rod is just bent all the way down. I'm worried the rod's going to snap. I'm worried the line's going to snap. For a period of time here, I actually can't even get the reel itself to work. I'm having to like do the spool by hand. At one point, the handle actually breaks, and before I can get it connected again, I just kind of spin the spindle with my hand. But I end up fighting this fish for about 20 minutes or so. I would start up here on the bow. My hips start like killing me, and my back starts hurting after a while. So I moved down the boat to a chair. Eventually, I tire the fish out enough to where I can actually start like pulling and reeling, and slowly bringing him to us. But he actually gator rolls in the line a couple of times, and so pulling him against the current while he's still kind of fighting, even though he's exhausted and I'm exhausted. It's the longest fight I've ever had with a fish. This would also end up being the biggest fish I'd ever caught. So I'll speed up the video a little bit here so you guys don't have to suffer through the whole thing, but it is the biggest fight I've ever had with a fish.
You're making some good headway now, son. He's starting to tire.
So am I. My hip hurts. I can see him. About 50 yards back.
If he's 50 yards back, you're in deep shit.
He's 50 yards back.
Picture worthy.
Okay, now just hold my net here.
So this fish would actually turn out to be a chum salmon, and chum salmon aren't ones you usually keep. You can keep them, but they don't taste like regular salmon. They don't taste nearly as good as sockeye or king or coho. And so the reason they're called chum salmon is because they're actually usually used in dog food. That being said, this fish was the biggest one I'd ever caught, and that was the longest fight, and I was just so proud to have caught him and not lost him. So that's the highlight of my fishing trip so far. After my big fight, I took a breather, had some Fritos and some water, and then I got back to jigging just for a little bit before we went back to flossing. And so I went and cast again right into the same spot, and first cast getting back into it after my little break, and I hooked into another one immediately.
Yeah, baby.
Got him. Attaboy, Pine. Another chum.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though pretty much all we ever caught in this spot was chum, it's still fun to just catch them, even though we're not going to keep them and we're not going to eat them. Just a quick catch and release is, with these big fish, they like to fight and they're a lot of fun to catch. And so even when you're out and you're just catching chum on this river, it's still a ton of fun. We would end up going back to the same bank where we had seen all of the sockeye running, and I would end up finishing up catching the rest of my limit, and we'd end up, calling it for the day around 5 o'clock. I would have ended up flossing, I think, for 6 or 7 hours to catch my limit of fish, and so I was very tired and had definitely tore up my shoulder doing it, but we caught our limit, and that was a nice conclusion to the day. And we would end up bringing home, I would end up putting, I think, about 80 pounds of salmon in my own freezer at home, and it was just a great trip. And to kind of finish this out here's a little clip of a grizzly bear walking behind camp, filmed from my little bedroom window. You got the mountains in the background. It's just gorgeous.